Bob, I was at a preaching conference probably 15 years ago in the Chicagoland area.
Okay.
A really world-renowned preacher got up.
Okay.
And it was a conference, so he was teaching us, and he said something I've never forgotten, but I almost immediately rejected.
Oh, that's perfect.
Well-known preacher says, humor has no place in the pulpit ever. And you know me, I do everything with humor, and I realized almost immediately, Jesus got in the face of his opponents regularly using humor. Yeah. But I'd love your take. What's the appropriate use of humor?
So my idea of humor in a sermon, I think, like most things, people have different capacities and giftings. For some, humor comes very naturally. For others, it's something that has to be worked at very hard.
Sure. I fall in the natural category.
Now that's funny.
Many people have said that.
See, now that's funny. Now, to say that there's no place ever for humor is ridiculous.
I agree.
It's absurdity.
Yeah.
And almost, are you sure he wasn't trying to be funny? Because that's so absurd.
No, actually,
it makes me think it was funny.
I will say he was not known for his humor in any setting. I would guess he was pretty boring all of the time.
That's tremendous. Well, so number one, if it's your gift, I think your tendency is to overdo it. So keep it under control.
Good. That's a good thought.
If it's not your gift and you have to work very hard at it, don't spend too much time, but learn to use it effectively. Now, for me, humor has, at least in my mind, a tremendous value in keeping people focused. One of the examples I use regularly, I remember we were at a dog park. We took our dog to a dog park, and they had posted there a poster with body language from a dog, how to interpret body language from a dog. And, like if they're in this kind of position, they're being playful. And if they're in this position, they're being aggressive. And because sometimes when dogs are playing, you can't always tell whether it's if they're happy with a dog they don't know or if they're about to have an all-out fight to the death. One of the things on this poster, it showed a dog, two dogs shaking. You know how they whole thing that they do.
I'm sorry. What do they do?
I'm not going to repeat that. I think it's on the tape. But when they do that, what that is doing is in two dogs playing with each other, if it's starting to overheat a little bit and get a little intense, it's a way for it to reset them emotionally.
Oh, sure.
That shaking resets them.
Interesting.
And then they re-engage. And we have two dogs, and I've watched that happen multiple times. If they get playing or roughhousing and somebody's starting to get upset, shaking resets them emotionally. For me, humor functions very much in a similar way. That if people are getting too stuck, it breaks tension. It breaks the tension, it resets them, and it refocuses them.
Which I think makes it a useful tool to keep for a sermon.
100%. If it helps them, I heard another well-known preacher in our fellowship say that he tries to make the congregation laugh or chuckle even lightly every 5 to 7 minutes, which is the opposite.
The exact opposite.
And the person who said that was not a person who I would say in normal conversations was funny. He was not.
That's shocking. We have a lot of funny guys in the Assemblies of God.
Gonna keep moving. And the ability to do that, I think it breaks tension, it refocuses people, it keeps them on track with you. I think humor is not only useful, but to some level, I would say it's absolutely necessary.
I would agree. I think both of us have complained privately. One of the things we don't love is when the sermon becomes a stand-up routine. Because I think if we're all honest with ourselves, there is something I shouldn't use this word, but there's something intoxicating about standing in front of a crowd
getting a laugh.
and getting a laugh. And it's instantaneous feedback, and it does something to our egos. It does something to us emotionally, and we can ride that to the loss of God's word.
Yeah, totally distracting from the moment. I know you didn't have that problem because they didn't necessarily laugh out loud.
Oh, they laughed uproariously.
I bet they did. Listen,
I wanted to talk about humor in the pulpit, and you turned into the dog whisperer. So what are you criticizing me for? If you see
you
a
didn't
dog,
like my dog analogy?
Actually, I did.
Okay.
But.
All right then. Well, I am guessing that the conference speaker you heard, that his perspective was that humor is disrespectful to the sacredness of the task.
In fact, that's almost where he went with the rest of his lecture.
And I would say the self-indulgent stand-up comedy routine does diminish the sacredness of the moment. Humor in and of itself does not.
Sure.
But the self-indulgent, self-serving, look at me kind of use of humor. Performance is absolutely. Now, I would also say, here's another piece to this. Know your context.
Good.
There are settings in our fellowship.
20-minute stand-up routine at a funeral, probably not the best.
Not going to go well.
Probably not the best.
Not going to go well.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But there's even amongst certain language district fellowships.
That's true.
There's one in particular that
humor
I preach
is very culturally bound.
And I was preaching, and I have this one story I tell, and there's a line in the way I tell the story that normally just kills.
Yeah,
it's a great line, and it's funny.
Killed.
They almost killed me. Yeah. It was zero,
yeah.
And so I asked in between two services. I asked one of the leaders that were there. I said, "Hey, let me know, how did I do culturally?" And he's like, "Hey, I'm just going to tell you, the mother-in-law joke did not go over well." I'm like, "Oh, I kind of sense that." Yeah. So know your setting as well.
That's good. That's good advice.
Setting. But general rule for me. Humor's very effective, so and appropriately tuned, well used. It's a great thing.
So what I hear you saying is, as it serves the purpose of the sermon, absolutely.
If it's
invite some humor,
driving people to focus and to hear the big idea of the sermon, engage with it, 100%.
Thanks.